9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the LaunchBox.
Tommy, thank you so much for being here again on another episode of our podcast.
Good to see you, Ray.
It's good to be seen. Now, as you can see from the title here, a question that we hear a lot is, how do I make more money from my existing customers? Now, you've worked in the field for a long time and I have not. So my guess is we just jack up the prices really high. Is that it? Just jack up the prices sky high. We can turn this off and go home.
Yeah, inflation, smiflation. Yep.
There has to be ways to make more from your existing customers.
Yeah. See, if you jack up pricing though, that's for new customers. That's not for existing customers. So
okay,
you're kind of working against yourself there.
Okay, that's probably not the best way to go. So then, what are ways that businesses can do more with the customers that they're already serving?
In my opinion, it starts with the work you did for them originally, and the experience. So, and this is all kind of cyclical, right? It is a big wheel. So obviously, in order for you to get a review and get referrals and get repeat business and really take advantage of your existing customer base, you had to have had done a good job for them and had had a positive outcome and a positive experience in their initial project, right? Because maybe that customer came from a referral and from a previous customer, and it just kind of exponentially builds on itself. So it starts with that. It starts with, how did you take care of them day one? From the initial call to showing up to the house or chatting online or on the phone, or, how did you, what was your appearance? There's a lot of little things that go into that from a professional standpoint. And then obviously building the trust and rapport with that customer and doing a good job, whether that's, it doesn't even have to be home services or contracting. It could be mobile car wash. It could be a haircut. It could, how was the experience? What kind of service did you provide? How were you memorable for the right reasons? A 5-star review memorable, not a 1-star review, or heck no, I'm not leaving your review, or, one of those experiences. So yeah, in my opinion, that's where it starts, is obviously the experience and the service that customer received initially.
Mm-hmm. And so then once you have a good relationship with your customers, how do you kind of continue that when you're not serving them?
That's where, like, some of the Launch SMS and the automation and modern day technology and AI, that's where a lot of these things can really help. Is one, when you provide that initial service, by having these systems and automations in place, you should be more streamlined and able to provide better service, because it's not so pen and paper, Excel document, Post-it note, right? You've got better checks and balances, if you will. So the service using these automations and technology should be better initially, which makes, the outcome better, which should lead to a good review, 5-star review, referrals, if you have the automations and systems in place to automatically ask for that, like Launch SMS does. And then once that customer is happy, and you have them in the right bucket for follow-ups, then you can send out, monthly newsletter reminders, or tips and tricks. The one thing you don't want to do is just go at your customers once or twice a year begging for more business. That's not gonna, it's annoying. And it's just kind of, it's just not a good way of building that constant rapport and keeping that relationship where it should be. So, sending things throughout the year, we always sent, or usually sent, like a follow-up thank you gift basket, Tiff's treats, or something a month or so later, And then, just keep them warm. That once you're done with that project and they leave you a review, and then they kind of become a lead. They go back into a nurture campaign, and where you can just send, hey, we were working in your neighborhood. Check out the pictures we did, in this neighborhood or on this street, just keeping them up to date, like they're a relative or a long lost friend or, whatever. Especially with social media, they're going to be following your pages and such and can stay in contact. And then through automation, Launch SMS, those types of functionalities is periodically you can send out marketing blast. Obviously, a popular one is Black Friday. You're an HVAC tech and we're, right in smack dab in the middle of winter, and, they need to check their vents, or they need to check routine maintenance on their systems, or, you're a landscaper that also does Christmas lights, send out a blast. And this is all automated to them, a couple line text, that feels very real and natural because they already know you. So
and that's true. And you can put in like the little things where it's like, hey, first name, because you have their first name. Correct. And it's like, don't climb the ladder today. Give us a call. We can do the lights kind of thing. And and have a little bit of like, like you said, kind of just talk to them like they're somebody that and just make sure that you're doing it around the times that they're kind of thinking about those things, or when you need them to be thinking about you, maybe like when you're slow, or, you're going into shoulder season or whatever, remind people, hey, did you get your seasonal maintenance yet? Or, we have a back to school special at the nail salon, whatever the case may be.
Correct.
And you can
this doesn't, it doesn't have to be, heck, Launch SMS, in these type of capabilities, it definitely works for HVAC and plumbing and pool service and landscaping, where you have that MRR, that monthly recurring, and that pest control, monthly, quarterly service. But, a barber, a salon, you got to get your hair cut every so often, or a nail salon, or car wash, or storage unit facility, or it really applies to any service or repeat customer type service, not just not home service or contracting. And Ray, the best thing about existing customers and your cost of acquisition?
Give me a hint.
0.
That's right. Yeah, the people that you are. It doesn't cost you anything.
If you're paying, imagine, let's say for every, I don't know, just ballpark numbers. Let's say for every 10 leads, you get one customer. Okay. And let's say your leads cost you $20 to $30, sometimes $80 to $100 per lead if they're really high quality, pre-qualified, all that kind of stuff. So let's just say $50 a lead. At 10 leads, that's $500 for that one customer, plus the drive, the gas. If you have a salesperson or a tech going, you're paying.
If you got them with a special.
Yeah, you're paying. Yeah, if you got them with a special, then there's a discount. You're paying that tech to go there and sell the job. You're paying the vehicle and stuff that tech is in. That tech's probably getting a commission on that sell. So that $500 is actually, who knows, $2,000-$3,000 depending on your average ticket. A repeat customer, they're already in your system. You've already paid that. They they don't necessarily need the whole dog and pony show. And it's just so one, your close ratio is astronomically higher, and two, your cost of acquisition, I'm being a little facetious, it's really not 0, because you've already paid for some of it. You're paying for the software to re-engage them and those kind of things. That's probably a very good word for it, is the re-engagement of that past customer. But let's say your cost of acquisition for a new customer is $500 plus all these other things, it's $1,000. Your cost of acquisition for a existing customer, maybe 10% of that,
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah. If that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just the time they're already in, they already know you. They've already left you a review. They've already given you referrals. They've already continued to see your information and new pictures and, special promos and all that kind of stuff for the last 3 months, 6 months, year. They're sold.
Mhm.
Now it's just a matter of the timing and making sure that you're not out of sight, out of mind. And that happens way too often. And it really shouldn't with the capabilities of 2025 into 2026 and launch SMS. You can literally set it up. We help kind of coach you through and help you set it up, and you kind of set it and forget it.
It is true. You kind of can. Yeah, maybe you want to update the message, but you're right. Every year in September, you either have your back to school sale or your service reminder or whatever the case is. So you're right. Yeah, once you get those things set up, they just work for you, and
Correct.
then you just answer the phone or go where the job is booked. You just head over there.
Yeah. You set it up one time, and like you said, let's say you wanted to run a spring break thing. You can go ahead and schedule that now to get ready to launch in late February. Getting ready for March and spring break, or mid-February. That way you've got 30 days until spring break, which is usually early mid-March. And it's already done, and you're not scrambling and trying to remember, and, it's already done. And then you can go back the next year and change the dates or whatever. But it's already set. You do that for, you set up your nurture campaign to where they're getting an email per month, and then 3-4 times a year, once a quarter or something, you have a spring break and a summer and a fall and a Black Friday, right? And those are already preset, and you mentioned it earlier. You don't even have to call them and manually set up. They already know you. You send them an opportunity, a promo, and then they go. It's all run through Launch SMS. They book automatically. They can either book the job itself, the service, or they can book a time for you or someone on your team to come back out and give them a quote on, freshening up this.
Right.
It depends on what your company is, what services you offer. Some stuff is very easy. They can just easily schedule this kind of maintenance, or, it may be something where you have to go back out and, kind of do measurements or figure out exactly what they want. It's a little more, in depth. But yeah, it can, it's a no-brainer, especially if you've been around for a couple years, 5 years, 10 years, you've got database, and not just your existing clients, but this is a whole nother conversation, is your leads that, they're just sitting there that never came to fruition.
Right.
That's a whole nother episode.
Okay. All right. Before we get too far away, you mentioned Black Friday a couple of times. We have a Black Friday special going on right now. Let's hear about it. I know I did say that. And as a matter of fact, we can learn all about it during this nicely produced little thing. It's the Launch SMS Black Friday sale. Schedule and complete your demo of Launch SMS before December 31st to get your first 3 months of service at 50% off. Plus, receive Nexus AI setup, a $1,500 value, absolutely free. Visit bookwithlaunchsms.com/ebook for a free gift and to learn more. Boy, that guy sounds familiar, and he's great. So, Tommy, thank you so much for doing this today. And you just mentioned an idea we had for another episode. What's the next thing that we're going to talk about?
Stay tuned.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right.